Draco Malfoy on Moaning Myrtle. What a strange duet! I know. Stay with me. This is one of the most psychology-rich relationship in the entire Harry Potter saga. And once I show you what's really happening between them in book 6, you're gonna see both of them completely differently. And honestly, you might see yourself in there as well. Welcome, witches, wizards, and magical souls. I solemnly swear that your magic is limitless. Here is the thing that nobody talks about. In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Draco Malfoy, the boy who has spent 5 books being cruel, arrogant, untouchable, is found crying in the bathroom by Moaning Myrtle. And she doesn't mock him. She doesn't leave, but she listens. And he lets her listen. And this is crazy because the most guarded character in the saga, the one who has never shown any weakness to anyone, breaks down in front of a ghost that everyone else ignores and mocks. Why her? Why him? Why there? Well, only because they recognize something in each other that they couldn't find anywhere else. Draco Malfoy and Moaning Myrtle are two people who felt completely alone, who couldn't show their pain to the world, who found in each other's company the one thing that they were both desperate for. Someone who wouldn't judge them for falling apart. That is what this duet is really about, and today we're going to decode it completely. So it talks about the books, not the films, because it wasn't adapted in the films. So stay with me, and let's dive in. Let's start with Draco, because book 6 shows us a version of himself that we have not seen before. For 5 books, Draco has been the villain of the corridors. He's been very cruel to Harry and his friends, he's been untouchable, sneering. He's the boy with the powerful father, the expensive robes, the arrogance, the certainty that the world owed him something. And then his father goes to Azkaban at the end of book 5, and Voldemort gives the 16-year-old Draco an impossible mission: go and kill Dumbledore, or you will watch your family die. Think about what this actually means for a moment. Draco is not a soldier. He's not a Death Eater by conviction. He is a teenager who has been handed a death sentence disguised as a honor to punish his father. And he cannot tell this to anyone. Not his mother, who would only worry more. He can't tell his friends, who are not really his friends, but just people who orbit his status. He can't tell a teacher or a mentor or anyone else. Well, actually, he could have said it to Snape, but he didn't want to, because he didn't trust Snape. He has to carry this alone, completely, while attending classes, eating meals, walking corridors, pretending everything is fine, and this mission is destroying himself completely, step by step from the inside. We see it in his face. He's becoming pale, drawn, exhausted. We see it in his weight loss. We see it in the moments Harry catches him in unguarded seconds. He's not sneering anymore. He's not performing, he's just scared. Draco, in book 6, is a boy who has never been taught how to be vulnerable. And he's a boy who is being crushed under the weight of something he cannot share with anyone else. Until he meets Myrtle. Now, let's look at Moaning Myrtle. Because Moaning Myrtle is probably one of the most misunderstood characters of the entire saga. She died at 14. She was bullied, she was lonely, she was crying in the bathroom when she looked up and met the eyes of the basilisk. And she has been 14 ever since she died there. She has been 14 not only in her age, but in everything, especially her emotional development that stopped the moment she died. She is frozen permanently in the feelings of that afternoon, that hurt, that loneliness, that teenager drama, and the sense that nobody cared, that nobody came to check on her, that the world was cruel and she was always going to be the one outside of it. She is, as Jung would say, a soul that never individuated, never grew, never moved through the pain towards something else. And here is the psychological detail that I find the most fascinating. Myrtle is drawn to people who are suffering. She's not doing it out of cruelty or out of recognition, but she recognized something in Harry in book 2. The boy who was lost and scared and looked for answers in all the wrong places, and she helped him. And in book 6, she recognized something in Draco. Someone who is in pain, someone who feels alone, someone who cannot show the world what they are really feeling. He's just like her. So what is actually happening between Draco Malfoy and Moaning Myrtle? Let's look at both sides. First, what Draco gets from Myrtle. For the first time of his life, Draco has someone he can fall apart in front of. Myrtle cannot judge him in any way that matters. She has no social status to wield, no connection to Voldemort, no report to make to his father, no expectation of who Draco Malfoy is supposed to be. She is completely outside of the world that is crushing him. And so, in the bathroom, which nobody visits, where nobody important will see him, Draco can let go of the performance, the arrogance, the certainty, the untouchability. He can just be the scared boy who doesn't know what to do. He can be vulnerable. And she listens without fixing, without judging, without making it about her, at least in those moments. And for someone who has spent his entire life performing strength, this is extraordinary. This is the only place in the world where he doesn't have to be Draco Malfoy, the heir of the Malfoys, the servant of the Dark Lord. He can just be Draco, a teenager, a 16-year-old boy, terrified and alone. And then if we look at what Myrtle gets from Draco, and here it gets psychologically complex. So stay tuned with me. Myrtle gets something too from this relationship. Something that she desperately needs, but that isn't entirely healthy. She gets confirmation. Confirmation that the world is hard, that people suffer, that the pain is real and cannot be avoided. But the pain is everywhere as well. Because Myrtle is frozen in victimhood. And I say it with enormous compassion because Myrtle's story is genuinely tragic. Victims who have never healed are often unconsciously drawn to other people's suffering. Not to cause it, but because other people's pain validates their own pain. It says, see, I was right, the world is cruel, suffering is real, I am not alone in this. So she gets comfort in her own victim position. Myrtle doesn't want Draco to get better. She doesn't want to encourage him towards solution. She doesn't say, you can do this, you can find a way through. She's like, okay, tell me more. I understand, I suffer too. Yeah, the world is hard. And this is a form of connection between them. It's not healing, clearly. It's not healthy, clearly. But it's two people holding each other in the same wound and calling it comfort. So I want to stay with Myrtle for a moment, because her nature as a ghost is not just a plot detail. It is a very precious metaphor that J.K. Rowling could have chosen for what unhealed trauma looks like. A ghost, in the wizarding world, is a soul that chose to remain rather than move on. It's a soul that clung to the living world out of fear, out of unfinished business, out of inability to go, inability to let go, instead of crossing through. And Myrtle is frozen, literally and permanently at 14 years old, at the age of her wound, and she cannot grow. She cannot develop, she cannot move through the pain towards something else because she never made the choice to move at all. And this is what unprocessed trauma does to the parts of us that experienced it. It freezes them. We grow up on the outside, we get older, we function, we manage, but inside there is this part of us that is still 14, still in that moment of hurt, still waiting for something that will never come, still organizing our emotional world around a wound that happened decades ago. So Myrtle is not a villain, but she is a portrait. She's a portrait of what we become when we never face the thing that broke us. And Draco is drawn to her in his most broken moment. And he's in danger of becoming the same as her. Not becoming a ghost, but becoming a person whose wind define everything. A person who builds their identity around their victimhood and their fear. Unless something changes. So here is what I see when I look at Draco and Myrtle together in that bathroom. I can see two people who share exactly the same core experience. Profound loneliness. The sense that nobody truly sees them, not the real them underneath the performance or the pain. Important, Myrtle couldn't escape her bullies, and Draco can't escape his mission. Both are trapped by forces larger than themselves. The inevitability to show weakness to the world. Myrtle is hiding in her bathroom, and Draco hides behind his arrogance. They have different strategies, but they have exactly the same wound. They are terrorized of death. Myrtle dies. Draco is certain he will. Both are consumed by mortality in a way that nobody around them understands. And in finding each other in that bathroom that nobody visits, they create something rare. They create a space where performance can drop. They can take the mask off and show what they truly feel. The two people who feel completely unseen can, for a few stolen moments, actually see each other. And this is not nothing. This is in fact profoundly human. And here is the crucial distinction, and this is where the coaching lens becomes very important. Listen to this. Recognition is not the same as healing. If I recognize you in your suffering, it's not gonna heal you. Myrtle recognized Draco's pain, and the recognition is real and valuable, but she cannot help him to move through it, because she has never moved through her own. You cannot lead someone somewhere you have never been yourself. So let me ask you this. We all have relationships in our lives that look like Draco and Moaning Myrtle. Connections built on shared pain, on mutual recognition of a wound, on the comfort of being someone who gets it, who doesn't ask you to be okay, who sits with you in the hard thing. And those connections have real value. Being seen in your pain matters, not having to perform strength all the time matters. But there is a question worth asking about the relationship in your life where the primary currency is shared suffering. Is this connection helping me move through the pain, or is it helping me to stay in it? Because there is a difference between a relationship that holds space for your darkness while also believing in your light, and a relationship that needs you to stay in the darkness to feel less alone in its own. Myrtle, without meaning to, needs Draco to keep suffering, because his suffering validates hers. This is not love, that is codependency dressed as a companion. And here are two more questions worth sitting with. Where in your life are you Draco? Carrying something alone? Unable to show to the world your real struggle? Maybe finding relief in spaces and people that are outside your normal world? And where in your life are you Myrtle? Frozen in an old pattern, in an old wound, drawn to other people's suffering because it confirms your own story, offering recognition without ever pointing towards the door. Both of these questions matter. Neither is a shameful answer, but seeing the pattern clearly, honestly, with compassion is the first step towards something different for you. So let's sum this up. Draco Malfoy and Moaning Myrtle, two people in the wizarding world, wrote off the villain and the ghost nobody wants to be around. And in their strange, overlooked bathroom floor friendship, one of the most honest portraits of the human connection in the entire saga. They are the two people who found each other in their loneliness, who offered each other the rare gift of being seen without judgment, and who, ultimately, could not heal each other because healing was never something another person can do for you. It has to come from the inside, from the choice to move through the wound rather than live inside of it forever. It comes from the decision, however terrifying, to cross through, not to stay and haunt the bathroom, but to go. So leave me a comment below and tell me which character do you relate the more right now? Draco, carrying something heavy alone? Or Myrtle, frozen in an old story? And what would it take to move through it? I'm Alice, and I'll see you next week. And until next time, remember, the one chooses the wizard, but you chooses everything else. May your choices be your magic.